Hello friends, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. I've said this many times before in my videos, but I am an absolute lover of YSL's La Nuit cologne. I absolutely love this sexy and classy fragrance, you know, the scent inside. And I'm always excited to try out new clones or alternatives to La Nuit cologne. And about 2 months ago I stumbled upon a scent from the House of Fragrance World that's called L'Uomo the Night Edition. So in today's video I'm going to talk about this fragrance and I'm going to tell you if this one is a good clone of the OG La Nuit cologne. As usual, I'll start by taking a quick look at the packaging, the presentation and the bottle design of L'Uomo the Night Edition from Fragrance World. The fragrance comes packaged in this black colored box with the silver and red accents on it. It looks kind of simplistic but at the same time classy. I quite like it. On the front you got the name of the fragrance, you got the concentration, which is EDP, the bottle size 100 milliliters. On the top and on the back you got some Fragrance World branding. There's a sticker of authenticity, and on the bottom there's a production date stamped on, which reads November of 2023. And once you take out the bottle, this is how the bottle looks. It has an interesting shape. The cap is plastic, it's quite big, but it's a snug fit. The whole bottle has quite a lot of heft to it, and all in all I actually pretty much like the packaging and the presentation of L'Uomo the Night Edition from Fragrance World. The note breakdown of L'Uomo the Night Edition, at least as what I was able to find online, has the following notes. The top note is just one note listed, cardamom. The middle notes are lavender, Virginia cedar and bergamot, and the base notes are vetiver and cumin. I'll show the spray in action and then I'll tell you about the scent of L'Uomo the Night Edition from Fragrance World. The spray is actually very nice and I like it quite a lot. It has a pretty good and wide distribution. And now onto the scent of L'Uomo the Night Edition. The fragrance opens up, a little bit fresh. I pick up that bergamot note in the opening that adds a bit of freshness. The lavender is in here, the cardamom is in here. It's somewhat similar to what you get with the original fragrance. But at the same time it's quite different, at least to my nose, because here it opens up, not as bright and not as creamy as you get with the original fragrance. The cardamom note is pretty strong and it's pretty similar to what you get from the OG La Nuit cologne, but what I miss here is the creamy lavender note. This one has lavender, but it doesn't feel as fresh and as classy as you get with the original. Two other differences that I pick up from L'Uomo the Night Edition compared to the original fragrance is first of all the fact that this has the cumin note, which adds a bit of a sort of a warmth and additional spiciness, but I've never been the biggest fan of the cumin note. And also one other thing that I pick up out of L'Uomo is the sort of ramped up sweetness compared to the original fragrance. This right after you spray has quite a lot of more ambery sweetness compared to the original scent. But it's quite similar and it's quite decently fresh. On the dry down, again you get that very nice combination of lavender, cardamom, and that sort of a creamy lavender with some creamy cedar wood mix. But again it feels less fresh and less airy compared to the original fragrance. And also feels quite a bit sweeter and warmer. All in all, this is a nice fragrance on its own. It's nicely done, there's no harshness or anything like that. Fragrance World have done a nice job at blending up all the ingredients, all the notes in this fragrance, and I've been quite enjoying it as a standalone scent. But now the next thing that I'm going to talk about is the similarities between L'Uomo the Night Edition and the original fragrance, and that's where my biggest problem lies with this fragrance. There's one additional problem, but I'll talk about that one in a minute. Now, L'Uomo doesn't feel like a straight up clone of the original fragrance. It feels more like a fragrance that's been inspired by, or you can even call it something like, it feels like a flanker to the original scent. It's, it doesn't have that classy, airy, nature that the original fragrance has. I absolutely love the mix of cardamom, lavender and cedar in the original fragrance. It has this sort of an airy, and almost soapy kind of vibe that's very classy, and I absolutely love it. L'Uomo the Night Edition feels warmer, feels more intense, feels more dense. As I said, it feels more like an I don't know, like an EDP flanker to the original fragrance rather than a straight up clone. And that added sort of intensity, that added warmth in this fragrance kind of ruins the experience for me, because I just don't feel like this is a very good clone, scent wise, compared to the original, how close it is. It's a bit of a strange one because the opening feels a little bit different. Then on the mid dry down, to my nose, it gets closer to the original fragrance for like half an hour up to an hour, and then when you go into the deeper dry down, it again starts to stray away from the original scent. All in all, if you're familiar with the original fragrance, you'll immediately pick up that L'Uomo the Night Edition is a clone or a fragrance that's been inspired by La Nuit de l'Homme. But again, at the same time, if you're very familiar with the original fragrance, you'll immediately pick up those differences between the two scents. Another area where I was a little bit disappointed by L'Uomo the Night Edition is the performance. The original fragrance, especially the current formulations, they're not known for their great performance. They last somewhere between 6 to 7 hours, and L'Uomo the Night Edition from Fragrance World has been giving me pretty much the same performance. Now, because of that added warmth, because of that added intensity, I was expecting L'Uomo to at least outlast the original fragrance, but unfortunately at the end of the day it has pretty much the same performance when we talk about the total longevity on skin. One area where this is slightly better compared to the original is the projection. This is a little bit harder projection in the first hour, but the total longevity has been somewhere between 6.5 to 7 hours. So that's the performance of L'Uomo. When it comes to the price tag, I paid about 22-23 euros to get this fragrance, which is an okay deal in my opinion. And on to my final thoughts about L'Uomo the Night Edition from the House of Fragrance World. As I said throughout this video, I'm an absolute sucker of for the original scent, and I'm always looking for a good clone and good alternative to the original fragrance, and I was really excited to try L'Uomo. Now, I've had this fragrance for about 2 months. I've given it enough time to macerate. I've given it quite a few good wears, and at the end of the day, I can tell you that in my opinion, this is not a good clone of La Nuit de l'Homme. It's not a bad fragrance on its own, it's nicely blended, it just has a few twists on the original fragrance compared to the original fragrance that just ruins the experience for me. This feels warmer, it feels sweeter, it feels more dense, and that added intensity just ruins the experience for me. For me, the charm for of the original fragrance lies in that very interesting sort of unsexy creamy mix of the lavender, the cardamom, the cedar oud, which gives it lightness, almost a soapy type of feel. And L'Uomo the Night Edition feels more like an more intense flanker to the original fragrance. All in all, this fragrance won't get a dislike for me, but at the same time won't get a like as well. And so guys, in today's video I showed you an interesting clone slash alternative for La Nuit de l'Homme from YSL that comes from Fragrance World, and it's called L'Uomo the Night Edition. I hope that you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in the next one. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.